The dancer and choreographer Bill T. Jones, himself HIV positive, will bring his troupe this spring to perform Still Here, an extraordinary new work about life, loss, and the struggle to survive.
Introducing the survivors.
Marty, I like to hit the inside pitch. Sheila, I'm a positive person. Mary, do the Mary.
They are young, old, black, white, straight, and gay. What they share is the struggle against life-threatening disease, cancer, leukemia, HIV. This dance is about them, their pain, their fear, and their courage.
The questions that people who face a serious illness have are questions that all thoughtful adults have but just don't think of.
The man who wants us to ponder those questions is Bill T. Jones, the openly gay modern dance choreographer who has been HIV positive for a decade. Jones interviewed scores of people to help him understand his future, and we ours. The result? A multimedia work integrating the voices of those participants with interpretation by his dancers. The first section, Still, is hypnotic, introspective. The second half, Here, more defiant, more physical. In the end, it is a performance that is upbeat, inspiring, full of hope, and full of life.
And now I've discovered there's a joy in it, and I will conquer it.
Jones, who spoke within the Life during last year's Gay Games Cultural Festival, acknowledges that for the lesbian and gay community, AIDS has brought out our strength and courage, too.
I think that AIDS has taught us something now. That there's something to be said for, yes, we are erotic animals, we are, but we're also capable of great, great loyalty and depth of feeling.
In Still Here, Jones appears only on a video monitor. It is his troupe and the participants who challenge us directly. But through them, Bill T. Jones reminds us, we too have no time to waste.
Don't sit and dream, something that we gay people do a lot. We close the door and we dream about palaces. Make your palaces there. Behave as if you will be here. Build your castles, make your relationships, do whatever you have to do. That's what I do. And we'll deal with tomorrow, tomorrow.
For In the Life, I'm Hal German.
Another veteran of the war against AIDS was Paul Manette, winner of the National Book Award for his novel, Becoming a Man.
In one sense, I feel I stand witness to the calamity of AIDS, and I feel about how history will talk about it the way Primo Levi felt about the camps. Yeah. He knew that they would lie about it. He knew they would try to put it under the table. He knew that there would be a neo-history that said, oh, gee, that never happened, or it wasn't as bad as everybody said it was. I want to make sure I leave a record of how bad it really was. But on the other hand, I also need to be witness to the great outpouring of love. Yeah, exactly, both among us who suffer from AIDS and among our brothers and sisters in the lesbian and gay community, and especially among our families and straight allies.
I still shiver with a kind of astonished delight, wrote Manette, when a gay brother or sister tells of that narrow escape from the coffin world of the closet. Yes, 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 goes a voice in my head. It was just like that, for me. Paul Manette died of AIDS this past February. He was remembered here in Boston at Outright, a gathering of lesbian and gay authors from all over the country.
I think, just like a lot of people, I've been profoundly moved, really challenged by Paul's writing, and really inspired. I mean, Becoming a Man was really one of the first gay books that I felt I had to give to every single straight relative and friend that I had, because I felt that it explained something about the confusion and difficulty of being in the closet and coming out in a way that nobody else has ever done.
Just like for Paul Manette and Tony Kushner, books have been a major source of inspiration for the lesbian and gay community. Outright allows the writers of these works to come together and share their ideas. Ironically, in a city that once banned books.
Welcome to Boston.
of the swing toward the right, it's very critical that we keep talking, that we don't allow ourselves to be silenced, that we get our stories in print no matter where, whether it's a magazine, a book, a newspaper, whether you are Xeroxing pages and stapling together and handing them out somewhere.
This is a very stimulating conference outright. It happens every year. And the response this year has been astonishing. If you think about over 1,500 people here from all over the country, and a lot of new faces, a lot of people who are not names, you know, in lesbian and gay and queer publishing or anything, and a lot of people who are major forces, who have made major contributions.
The fact that people can meet each other here and see each other and get to know each other, I think, is the primary function. I think we all work better when we know each other better. So I would not for a second underestimate the, you know, meeting in the corridor stuff. I do think that's the point here. We bring people together from all over the country. That in itself is an accomplishment and important.
We're here with Charles Flowers, editor of Out Loud and Laughing. Charles, where did you get the idea for this book?
I had the idea, why don't we do a best of collection? Why don't we do the best of Frank Maya, the best of Leah Delaria, and gather it in one anthology?
I'm on this plane, and I'm always nervous on planes anyway, you know. I mean, not about crashing, but like my skin drying out, you know, so
I think there's a possibility of progressive change with comedy because by laughing, having gay humor, we connect with straight America. And when they laugh, I think, you know, we have a potential of appearing less alienating, less threatening. And so on one level, we laugh, we enjoy ourselves. On another level, we can change the world.
And here's a tip for you at home. Never come out to your father in a moving vehicle.
Uncommon Heroes is a photo essay anthology focusing on the veterans of the lesbian and gay civil rights movement. Philip, why did you write this book?
This book was a burning desire of mine for over a decade. I felt that somebody had to tell the positive stories about lesbian and gay people. And so in my travels around the country, in my regular job, which is not publishing, I talked to lesbian and gay people and asked them who their role models were, who the people that inspired them.
In the Life asked that same question to some conference participants.
I am a big fan of Urvashi Vaid.
You know, writers like Dorothy Allison and Audre Lorde and Adrienne Rich, Tony Kushner.
Anne Northrup.
The person who influenced my thinking perhaps most on this in a positive way was a straight woman, Gloria Steinem.
I don't know that as a young woman I really knew who my heroes were at first. I think I started reading a few paperback books of the type that I eventually wrote myself and began to realize that there was an audience there and that there was an outlet. The women who are my heroes are sort of, I think, outside aren't thought of particularly in lesbian terms, although some of them are beginning to be. I'm thinking of Eleanor Roosevelt or perhaps Margaret Mead and women like that.
I'm glad to see that the conference is diverse. It doesn't strictly focus on writing, and that I'll be able to be on a panel on film, and we'll be able to talk about, quote, the new chic queer narrative cinema, but what about those of us who've been doing queer cinema for 25 years? You know, so in a way, it makes a history to have an older person in the population, I'm 55, be on a panel with somebody in their 20s.
I think it's very important for someone of my age who's been around before Stonewall and during the period afterwards to have a sense of generation. And very much like a parent, I've learned to understand a little bit what heterosexual parents go through, and I guess lesbian and gay parents go through. You just go, God, what are they doing, those kids, you know? But also wanting to say, this is what I learned. This is what we did. Honor the people that came before you, as you should be honored by the people that come after you.
You know that your foremothers were out there, that in a time when people's lives could be destroyed in a twinkling for being candid about themselves, that nevertheless people were taking that chance. People were saying something to each other, and that what they said still resonates for people now.
Audre Lorde was one of the most gifted writers of our time. She wrote numerous books of poetry and prose and co-founded Kitchen Table Press, the only publishing house for women of color.
I believe in poetry. I believe that all art makes us more powerfully who we wish to become.
Lorde passionately believed in the connection between art and politics.
Everything we do has got to contribute to the struggle, because everything they do is grinding us into dust, and we will not be ground.
While all of this was going on, I stood by the kitchen, looking at him across the room.
Staring.
I wondered at that moment what it was like to kiss you.
To see you naked.
To run my fingers down your chest.
One place where the legacy of the Stonewall movement is clearly evident is in America's theaters, where plays with lesbian and gay characters are being staged with increased frequency. Here at the Public Theater in New York, a commitment to diversity is key to the mission of artistic director George C. Wolfe, a diversity that eagerly welcomes informative plays about gay and lesbian lives.
I want to try to create, in its truest sense, an American theater, which is a theater that is comprised of telling as many different stories as it possibly can.
One play in performance this spring at the Public is A Language of Their Own, about the relationship between two Asian men. We caught actors B.D. Wong and Francis Ju in rehearsal under the direction of Keng Sen Ong.
Then you moved in. For 4 years. We discovered new uses for the kitchen and the living room.
Acted like children in museums on Sundays.
Read poetry to each other in my large wooden bed by candlelight.
Had breakfast in Union Park.
A Language of Their Own is basically Joy Luck Club but with better hair. But primarily the play is about looking for love and how people seek it and the ways they try to maintain it.
Do you know how many trains we sat on together?
Seems like thousands.
And I thought in thousands more.
4 years.
Yes.
My theory of the language of their own basically comes from the fact that we are different people. We are random, like atoms. And when we collide, something happens, you know. This person that you never thought you'd meet in the street all of a sudden becomes the most important person in your life. And the fact is that he has a different language and you have a different language. We have a set of rules, a set of perceptions, a set of ideas. And all of a sudden, these two people begin to share these ideas, this language.
So you always look for, as a producer, people who have very unique voices that are able to take in the world, deal with the specifics of who they are, and also do it with a level of intimacy so that therefore you as an audience feel like you're witnessing something very personal. And I feel as though this play does that, so that therefore the specifics of it is unquestionably, unapologetically Asian and gay, and celebrates in that phenomenon, but it is incredibly intimate about like the heart.
And then one night when I came home, you said,
I don't think we should see each other anymore.
I didn't know what to say.
Oscar discovers just before the play begins that he's HIV positive. And as often happens, it becomes the focus of your life. And in the course of that, Oscar breaks up with his lover of 4 years. I think that Oscar is motivated by love.
I definitely relate to Ming's dilemma as an American-born Asian person, specifically an American-born Chinese. And I really did not like being an Asian person when I was a teenager, when I was aspiring to be a younger actor. I really thought that not being a white person just kept me from getting everything that I wanted. And then it was really when I was in this play, Butterfly on Broadway, that I understood the beauty and the power and the wonderfulness of being an artist of color.
For once, we're having a play that is not just about being gay. It's not about being Asian American. It's not about issues. It's about people.
Is there still a stigma for an actor to play a gay role, and is that any different for an Asian actor?
Absolutely. I think especially for Asian American men that this is a problem. I think Asian American men are typically looked at as sexless or as sexually passive.
Like racism, homophobia is not always pinpointable. You can't always tell when it's happening or who it's coming from. You just know that